The Awakening DR. Marcus Vale pressed his palm against the cool laboratory window, watching the rain streak down the glass in patterns he could barely make out. 6 months since the accident had stolen his sight, leaving him with only shadows and blurred shapes where once he'd seen molecular structures with crystal clarity. The irony wasn't lost on him. A man who dedicated his life to seeing the invisible workings of genetics, now fumbling through his own existence half-blind. "Are you certain about this, Dr. Vale?" The voice belonged to Dr. Rebecca Torres from Helix Corporation, though her features remained frustratingly indistinct across the sterile consultation room. The symbiotic enhancement protocol is still in experimental phases. Marcus straightened his shoulders. "I've read every paper, every study. If there's a chance this treatment could restore my vision and advance our understanding of regenerative genetics, I'm willing to take the risk." The injection site throbbed with an intensity that seemed to pulse through his entire nervous system. Whatever they'd given him felt alive, almost writhing beneath his skin. Dr. Torres and her team had been vague about the specific something, about bioadaptive nanites designed to repair damaged neural pathways. The integration period typically lasts 2 to 3 weeks, she'd explained, before the needle pierced his arm. "You may experience some discomfort as your system adapts." That had been the understatement of the century. Now, 3 weeks later, Marcus stood in his apartment kitchen, staring at objects that seemed to shimmer with unnatural clarity. Not only had his vision returned, but everything appeared enhanced colors more vivid, details impossibly sharp. He could see dust motes dancing in streams of sunlight, count individual raindrops on his window from across the room. But the changes went beyond sight. His reflexes had quickened to an almost superhuman degree. Yesterday, he'd caught a falling coffee mug without even thinking, his hand moving faster than conscious thought. His strength had increased dramatically, too. He'd accidentally crushed his apartment key trying to unlock his door. The dreams were the most disturbing part. Visions of alien landscapes under foreign stars, voices speaking in languages that somehow felt familiar. Images of a woman with luminescent skin and eyes like captured starlight, calling to him across impossible distances. Marcus was contemplating these changes when the air in his living room began to shimmer like heat waves rising from summer pavement. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in seconds, and every instinct screamed danger. As reality seemed to bend and twist, she materialized from nothing tall, elegant, and utterly inhuman. Her skin held a subtle luminescence, pale blue-white like moonlight on snow. Intricate silver armor hugged her lithe form, and her eyes burned with an inner fire that matched the stars from his dreams. She was beautiful in a way that transcended human understanding, terrifying, and magnificent simultaneously. "Finally," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated in his bones, "the integration is complete." Marcus backed against the wall, his enhanced vision taking in every impossible detail. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" A smile played across her lips, not entirely kind. "I am Zephyra of the Kyrithi, and you, Marcus Vale, carry the last living essence of my people within your genetic code." Her gaze traveled over him with proprietary satisfaction. "You belong to us. Now." Bonds of fire. Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs as Zephyra moved through his apartment with predatory grace, examining his belongings like she was cataloging inventory. The rational scientist in him insisted this had to be some kind of hallucination, a side effect of whatever Helix Corporation had injected into his system. "This is impossible," he said, voice steadier than he felt. "You can't just appear out of thin air and claim to own me." Zephyra turned, her luminous eyes fixing on his with an intensity that made his modified genetics sing in recognition. "Can't I? Tell me, Marcus, what do you feel when you look at me?" Against his will, Marcus found himself cataloging her features, the elegant curve of her neck, the way her armor accentuated rather than concealed her feminine form, the dangerous. Beauty that seemed to call to something deep in his transformed DNA. A warmth spread through his chest, foreign yet familiar. Confusion, he lied. Her laugh was like silver bells tinged with darkness. Your body betrays you. A Kyrathi essence recognizes its own kind. She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns etched into her armor, smell something like ozone and starlight on her skin. We are a dying race, Marcus. Our homeworld was consumed by cosmic storms centuries ago. Only a few hundred of us remain, scattered across the galaxy. What does that have to do with me? Everything. Her fingers traced the air near his chest. Not quite touching, but somehow he felt the heat of our proximity. We cannot reproduce as we once did. Our genetic structure is too damaged, too incomplete. But we discovered that certain human DNA can serve as a bridge, a way to preserve our essence in hybrid form. Marcus backed against the window. The injection contained pure Kyrathi genetic material, yes. We provided it to your Helix Corporation, through intermediaries. Of the thousands who received the treatment, you are the only one who survived the integration process. Her expression softened slightly. You are precious, Marcus. Irreplaceable. I didn't ask for this. But even as he said it, Marcus felt the lie. Some part of him, growing stronger each day, welcomed the changes. The enhanced strength, the heightened senses, even these strange dreams that now made perfect sense. Zephyra moved closer still, until only inches separated them. This close, he could see that her skin wasn't merely luminous. It actually contained what looked like captured starlight, tiny points of brilliance that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. The bonding process is not complete, she said softly. Full integration requires emotional and physical synchronization between Kyrathi and host. Meaning what? Instead of answering, she placed her palm flat against his chest. The contact sent electricity through every nerve ending, and Marcus gasped as foreign memories flooded his consciousness, images of crystal cities under alien suns, the joy of flight through cosmic winds, the devastating loneliness of a species, watching itself fade into extinction. But beneath the alien memories came something else, Zephyra's own emotions, raw and vulnerable. Her fear of being the last, her desperate hope that he might accept what she offered, her growing attraction to this human who carried her people's future in his cells. You feel it too, Marcus whispered, his hands coming up to cover hers. I am not supposed to, she admitted, and for the first time her composure cracked. Kyrathi do not form emotional attachments to other species. But you are no longer entirely human, and I find myself ... She trailed off. What? Drawn to you in ways I do not understand. The space between them evaporated. Marcus found himself cupping her face, marveling at the way her skin felt like warm silk infused with electricity. She leaned into his touch, her eyes fluttering closed. This is dangerous, she breathed. Everything about this situation is dangerous. Their lips met in a kiss that was part desperation, part recognition, part something entirely new. The hunt begins. Captain Elena Vasquez studied the classified files spread across her desk, each manila folder representing another disappeared test subject from the Helix Corporation trials. 47 people had volunteered for the experimental GENE therapy program. 46 had died within weeks of the injection. One had simply vanished, along with every trace of the company that had administered the treatment. Dr. Marcus Vale, biotechnology researcher, age 34, last seen leaving his apartment building 6 days ago, according to security footage. No credit card activity, no cell phone pings, no contact with family or colleagues. It was as if he'd evaporated into thin air. Alana's secure phone buzzed. Vasquez. We've got activity at the Vale apartment. Agent Rodriguez's voice crackled through the encrypted connection. Thermal signatures show 2 individuals inside, but building security shows no entry the past week. 2 individuals? Elena grabbed her jacket and sidearm. I'm en route. The drive through downtown Seattle gave her time to review what little intelligence they'd gathered. Helix Corporation had been a front a sophisticated one, but still fake. The real funding had come through a labyrinth of shell companies that ultimately led nowhere. Someone with serious resources and advanced technology had used human test subjects for unknown purposes. Elena parked across from Marcus Vale's building, noting the way shadows seemed to move wrong in the upper windows. Her enhanced vision, gift from her own classified military augmentations, caught heat signatures that didn't quite match human baselines. She was checking her equipment when the air beside her car began to shimmer. Elena rolled out of the driver's seat just as something massive materialized where she'd been sitting. The creature stood 7 feet tall, covered in what looked like living metal that shifted between silver and deep blue. Its face was vaguely humanoid, but elongated, with eyes like burning coals. "You seek the hybrid," it said in accented English. Its voice like grinding stone. "I am Corin of the Nexari. The abomination must be returned to us." Elena's hand found her weapon, a prototype energy pistol designed to handle non-conventional threats. "And you are?" "A species your government has been foolishly attempting to contact through crude genetic manipulation." Corin's metallic features twisted into what might have been contempt. "The Kyrathi are a plague, Captain Vasquez. They spread through. Host species like a virus, corrupting and consuming until nothing remains of the original. How do you know my name?" "We know many things. We know that 46 humans died because their genetic structure could not contain Kyrathi essence. We know that one survived, making him incredibly dangerous." Corin stepped closer, and Elena fought not to retreat. "We know that you have been enhanced by your own military's experiments, making you potentially useful." "Useful for what?" "Hunting. The hybrid cannot be allowed to complete the bonding process with his Kyrathi handler. If he does, he will become something that could threaten the balance of power among the star-faring races." Elena's mind raced. 2 alien factions, both with interest in Marcus Vale, both claiming the other posed a threat. Standard protocol would be to call for backup, establish contact with command, and let the experts handle first contact situations. But the thermal readings from Vale's apartment showed signs of struggle, and her gut told her that waiting for bureaucracy might mean losing. The only human to survive whatever had been done to him. "What do you want from me?" she asked. "Cooperation. Help us locate and retrieve the hybrid before the Kyrathi corruption spreads beyond containment." Through her earpiece, Elena heard Rodriguez's voice. "Captain, we've got a situation. Building. Evacuation in progress." Witnesses report seeing someone jump from a 20-story window and land safely on the street. Elena looked up at the apartment building, then back at Corin. Marcus Vale was on the run, probably with his alien captor. Both sides claimed the other was dangerous, and she was the only thing standing between them and whatever chaos might unfold. "I'll help you find him," she told Corin, fingers crossed behind her back. "But I want answers. All of them." The alien's burning eyes seemed to see right through her deception, but he nodded. "Agreed. But remember, Captain, the hybrid is no longer human. Do not let sentiment cloud your judgment when the time comes to act." Convergence 3 days of running had taken them from Seattle's urban maze into the dense forests of the Olympic Peninsula. Marcus marveled at how his enhanced stamina allowed him to keep pace with Zephyra as she moved through the wilderness with inhuman grace, her armor adapting its coloration to match their surroundings. They'd taken shelter in an abandoned research station, its solar panels still functional enough to provide basic power. Marcus sat by a window, monitoring the facility's perimeter. Sensors, while Zephyra studied star charts displayed on her forearm's holographic interface. "The Nexari have allied with your government," she said without looking up. "Corin's thermal signature is growing stronger. He's closing the distance. You can track him?" Kyrithi and Nexari technology developed along opposing paths for centuries. We know each other's capabilities intimately. She finally met his eyes, and Marcus saw worry there. He will not come alone this time. The past 3 days had been a crash course in interstellar politics. The Kyrithi and Nexari had been at war for millennia, their conflict stemming from fundamentally different approaches to survival. The Kyrithi sought to preserve their essence through integration with other species, while the Nexari believed in maintaining genetic purity at any cost. But Marcus had also learned more personal things. The way Zephyra's luminescence dimmed when she was tired. How her armor was actually a living symbiote that responded to her emotions. The fact that she'd never experienced physical attraction before him, making their growing connection as confusing for her as it was intense. "There's something else," Zephyra said, her voice carefully neutral. "The bonding process has progressed further than I anticipated. Your genetic structure is not merely hosting Kyrithi essence, it's actively integrating it. In a few more days, the transformation will be irreversible." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the mountain air. "What does that mean?" "It means you will no longer be human. You will be something new, something that has never existed before." She stood, moving to the window beside him. "The question is whether you want that future." Before Marcus could answer, proximity alarms screamed through the facility's aging speakers. Through the trees, he spotted heat signatures moving in coordinated patterns, too organized to be wildlife. "They found us," Zephyra said, her armor instantly shifting to combat configuration. "How many?" "6 Nexari hunters, plus your captain." "Vasquez." Zephyra's expression hardened. "She thinks she's hunting us. She doesn't realize she's being used as bait." The first explosion shattered the station's eastern wall. Marcus threw himself over Zephyra as debris rained down, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to shield them both from the worst of the blast. When the dust settled, armored figures were pouring through the breach. Corin's voice boomed across the ruined laboratory. "Surrender the hybrid, Kyrithi. Your corruption ends here." Zephyra rose beside Marcus, energy building around her hands in crackling arcs of blue-white power. "Not while I draw breath." The battle erupted with devastating intensity. Nexari weapons fired beams of coherent energy that could slice through steel, while Zephyra responded with blasts of what looked like controlled lightning. Marcus found himself moving with inhuman speed, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. Through the chaos, he spotted Elena Vasquez taking cover behind an overturned table, her strange weapon trained on the combatants, but not firing. Their eyes met across the battlefield, and Marcus saw recognition and uncertainty. A Nexari hunter turned its weapon toward Elena, apparently considering her expendable, now that she'd served her purpose. Without thinking, Marcus launched himself across the room, tackling the alien warrior just as it fired. The energy beam went wide, scorching the ceiling instead of finding its human target. "Stay down," Marcus told Elena as he grappled with the hunter. His enhanced strength was evenly matched against Nexari augmentations, but his human training in hand-to-hand combat gave him an edge. A precise strike to the warrior's neck joint sent it crashing to the floor. "You're protecting me?" Elena asked, incredulous. "You're not the enemy here." Another explosion rocked the facility. Zephyra was holding her own against multiple attackers, but Marcus could see exhaustion beginning to dim her luminescence. The bonding process had been drawing on her energy reserves, and she couldn't maintain this level of combat indefinitely. Marcus felt something awakening in his chest, a power that felt both foreign and utterly natural. The Kyrithi essence was responding to his emotional state, offering abilities he'd never imagined. Elena, he said, still watching Zephyra fight for both their lives. I need to know, are you here to capture me or kill me? She was quiet for a long moment. I was sent to bring you in for debriefing, but seeing this, she gestured at the battle raging around them. I think we've all been lied to. Then help us end this. Transcendence Elena's decision came in the space between heartbeats. As another Nexari hunter moved to flank Zephyra's position, Elena's prototype weapon hummed to life, sending a pulse of disruptive energy into the alien warrior's neural systems. The creature collapsed, its armor's control circuits overloaded. Nice shot, Marcus called out, ducking as Corin's massive form charged through the smoke and debris. I have my moments, Elena replied, already targeting another hunter. The tide of battle shifted with Elena's intervention. Her military training and advanced equipment proved effective against Nexari technology, while Marcus found himself accessing abilities he'd never known he possessed. Energy flowed through his hands like captured lightning, and his movements became fluid and precise in ways that transcended human limitations. But it was Zephyra who turned the conflict into something more than mere combat. As the last of Corin's warriors fell, she stepped forward to face their leader, her armor blazing with stored starlight. This ends now, Corin, she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. Your fear of change has blinded you to possibility. Corin's burning eyes fixed on Marcus. Look at him, Carathi. Already he is more your kind. And his own. In months, nothing human will remain. You call this preservation. I call it extinction. What I call it, Elena interrupted, stepping between them with her weapon trained on Corin, is evolution. And it's his choice to make. Marcus felt the truth of that statement resonate through his transformed genetics. The Carathi essence hadn't been imposed on him. It had been offered. Every change, every enhancement, every moment of connection with Zephyra had been his decision to accept or reject. You're right, he said to Corin. I'm not entirely human anymore, but I'm not entirely Carathi either. I'm something new. The words triggered a cascade of change throughout his cellular structure. Marcus gasped as the final barriers between human and alien DNA dissolved, his consciousness expanding to encompass aspects of existence he'd never imagined. He could feel the electromagnetic signatures of every living thing for miles around, could sense the gravitational pull of distant stars, could perceive dimensions of reality that had no names in any terrestrial language. But through it all, he remained fundamentally himself. Marcus Vale, scientist and explorer, driven by curiosity and compassion. Zephyra's hand found his, their fingers intertwining as their shared genetic heritage sang in harmony. How do you feel? She asked softly. Complete, Marcus answered, and meant it. For the first time in my life, complete. Corin lowered his weapons, his metallic features shifting into something that might have been resignation. The transformation is finished. You are no longer a threat to the balance. You are the balance. Elena holstered her weapon. Meaning what, exactly? Meaning, Zephyra said, her luminescence pulsing in rhythm with Marcus's newfound abilities, that we have created something unprecedented, a bridge between species that preserves the best of both while transcending the limitations of either. Marcus felt the truth of it flowing through his consciousness. He could still access his human memories, his scientific training, his emotional connections to his own species. But he could also tap into Carathi knowledge that spanned millennia, understand technologies based on principles unknown to Earth, science, and perceive the intricate web of relationships that connected all life across the galaxy. What happens now? Elena asked. Marcus looked at Zephyra, seeing in her eyes a future that encompassed wonders beyond imagination. Now we build something new, a way for species to connect without one consuming the other. A path forward that honors what we've been while embracing what we might become. Corin nodded slowly. The Nexari will watch. If this hybrid future proves beneficial, perhaps our ancient conflicts can finally end. And if it doesn't? Elena pressed. Then I suppose, Marcus said, energy dancing around. His joined hands with Saphira, we'll face that challenge together. All of us. As dawn broke over the Olympic Mountains, 4 figures stood among the ruins of the research station human. Hybrid and alien, united by the recognition that the future belonged not to any single species, but to the connections they chose to forge between them. The transformation was complete, but the real journey was just beginning.